Do you want to lose weight but struggle to stay committed to a meal plan because you constantly feel hungry? Does food provide you with comfort when you are bored, angry, lonely, or sad? If so, you are in the right place. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm a life coach specializing in emotional eating and weight loss, and I'm also a lifelong emotional eater. I want to provide you with information, motivation, and support so you too can learn to manage your issues with food and develop a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. All right, welcome everyone to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for coming back and being here with me this week. Oh my gosh, you all are in for such a treat. We have such a special, very special guest accompanying the podcast today. Our topic is going to be, are relationships impacting your weight? And to discuss that topic, we have the very special guest, the Sheila Morgan. And I'll do a little intro with Sheila in just a moment. She is just amazing. And we are going to talk about relationships, and we're going to talk about how that relates to weight, and really whose responsibility is it? Oh, y'all are going to be a little surprised. So in today's podcast, you're going to learn how to stay on course on your weight loss journey and not be swayed by those around you. Okay. And you're also going to learn how to stick to your meal plan, even when those you love aren't supportive. And I know many of you have that situation going on. You're also going to learn the way to be successful in reaching any of your goals, and that empowering yourself to accomplish your goals is strictly up to you. So shocking. So shocking, but we're going to address that, and y'all are going to learn a lot today. So if you are listening and you are not a member, if you're listening on the podcast and you're not a member of the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, I would love to have you come and join us on Facebook. So you can go to www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough and be a part of what I think, I'm a little biased, but I think is one of the coolest communities that we have on Facebook. It is so encouraging, so supportive. Really, it's a collection of amazing individuals who are really looking to change their lives and doing it through a lot of work on their thoughts and their brain, and how not only how they eat, but how their brain impacts that and how their thoughts impact that. And so we do a lot of really cool stuff there. And we really, there's an amazing community of people who support each other, and we would love to have you be a part of it. So please jump on and become a member. Love to have you. As you know, every week I like to do a client shout out. So today my client shout out goes to Christine Peterson. Now, Christine is one of my clients, and we've been working together about 3 weeks. And I think all of you will understand, here it is in August, and Christine's been working with me for the last 3 weeks. And of course, school's getting ready to start. So what does her family decide to do or need to do? They need to go on vacation. So she's just started this weight loss program and is super excited, super enthusiastic, and she goes on vacation. Well, she goes on vacation to Vermont. And for those of you who are in the group, if you saw the picture that she posted of the incredibly beautiful dessert, chocolate dessert case in one of the shops that she went into in Vermont, it's just amazing. And she took a picture of it and said how tempting it was, but that she knew that she was more important than that. And in fact, she is more important than that. She realized that taking care of herself and loving herself was not buying herself chocolate, was not eating with her family in the afternoon when they stopped to get a treat at this shop, but it was to wait and to really realize that really truly loving herself was showing herself the respect and respecting her long-term goals, and really giving herself that gift. And don't you know, she came back from being in Vermont for, I think it was like 5 days, came back 2 pounds down from what she was last week. And now she's going on vacation again. And she's going to kill it this week too. So she's going to Martha's Vineyard. I have to tell you guys, this is funny. I had to ask her when we were on our call. I'm like, I really don't know what Martha's Vineyard is. I really truly was like, is it a place? Is it Martha Stewart's backyard? I didn't really know what it was. And so I had to ask her. So she informed me. Christine, when you listen to this, thank you. I so appreciate you being kind and explaining to me what that was all about, because I felt like I'm from California. I don't know what Martha's Vineyard is. I mean, come on. And I thought it was a vineyard. Then Martha Stewart owned. That's really what I thought. So, oh well, now y'all know. So Christine, I'm so proud of you. And one of the things that she and I talked about, and I've talked about with other clients very recently, is what I like to call NSV. And I got that from a fellow coach that I worked with, and it's called they're non-scale victories. And so all of us we have to look for, whenever we're on any sort of journey or a goal, especially when it's weight loss, we have to have something that victories, there are other victories that we get that aren't just related, especially in weight loss, that are just related to the scale. And so we really have to remember to look for all of those other really powerful things that happen, those improvements that we have that are just essential to changing us from the inside out. And we have to appreciate those just as much as those blasted those three little numbers on the scale. We have to value those as much, if not more, if we're going to move forward. So yeah, so Christine, you're rocking it. Super happy for you. Keep it up. And I can't wait to talk to you when you get back from quote unquote the vineyard. Now that's what I'm going to call it now, the vineyard. That's going to be my trendy name for it. All right, let's get into the podcast. So exciting. So my very special guest is, she is like she is a rock star in my world, because she has coached me so much on so many things. There are times that we get into a coaching session and she'll say, haven't we already talked about this? I'm like, yeah, we've talked about it again, because I still don't get it. So my very special guest is Sheila Morgan, and Sheila is she's a certified life coach who works with smart professionals who are romantically challenged. And she helps them to stop overanalyzing. Who overanalyzes a relationship? I don't know anyone who does that. She counsels people who stop overanalyzing relationships and to stop sabotaging. Y'all know who I'm talking to, because I'm talking to me too. You all out there, are you sabotaging your relationships? Because I know I do sometimes too. And it's because our brains get in the way. Okay, brains get in the way, and it prevents us from being able to, be functional in a relationship and be the person we're supposed to be in a relationship. So, Sheila, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
I'm so happy.
Honor. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
I am so honored to have you here. So, can you tell my podcast, or my podcast listeners, as well as my members in the group, what exactly do you do as a life coach? And Sheila and I both are life coaches. We both are in the same program. And but what do you do specifically as a life coach to help people?
Well, one of the things that I really love helping people with is when they're all hung up in their emotions. Mm-hmm. Like when people they're overly angry, they're overly sad. And then there's the whole other side of it where people are just completely numbed out. Mm-hmm. And it's actually part of the same. It's like two sides of the same coin, mm-hmm. right? And it's all about what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's helping people see their thoughts and what that's creating, and then help them move towards creating thoughts that work better for them.
Awesome. That's so cool. And so you're out of you're out of Eugene.
I'm in Eugene, Oregon. It's raining right now and the sun is shining, because we like to do two weathers at the same time.
I would kill for rain right now. I would kill for rain to get rid of the smoke. So that is crazy. So one of the most common things that I hear from group members, as well as sometimes with clients, is like, this weight loss would be so much easier if my kids weren't around, if my husband wasn't here, if my boyfriend wasn't around, and so what is it? Is there, who's responsible when someone's trying to reach a goal, especially weight loss? Who needs to be fixed in that situation? Like, what do they do?
It's obviously my husband's fault that I gained weight. Yeah, so when we met, we had so much fun. We went out, we made date night out of laundry night, and we would go have burgers and beer and do all the fun dating stuff. And I went from about 170 pounds to 225 mm-hmm. in the 3 years that we first got together. Mm-hmm. And then when I hit my max at 225, I'm like, I can't keep doing this. and doing the traditional dieting route of going on a strict diet and then gaining back. It took me 3 years to lose 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit, right? And
Right.
I was quarantined. My husband was laid off and home all the time. And I'm like, oh crap, we're going to get fat. We're going to get fat.
It's not going to be good. But we're doing it together. We're doing it together.
We're doing it together. We've got the vodka. We've got, we're doing all the things. We're doing the tater tots, all that stuff. And I'm like, I am not going to do that. So he and I kept committing to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kept breaking our commitments, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I finally realized that it's completely up to me to be with myself in those moments where he's like, hey, can I get you a gin and tonic? Hey, can you want to have some popcorn? Because he loves his big thing of popcorn when we sit down to watch a show, and I would help him eat it. I had to get really super okay with smelling popcorn and not eating it. And not resisting and being with the urge and doing all of that. And it became a practice that I had to just be with those urges, because that's all it is. It's an emotion, right, that we're feeling and we want to feed it. And having my husband there eating something in front of me in no way requires me to eat it.
Right. And he can eat what he wants. Like, he doesn't have to suffer because you don't want him to eat it because you're trying to lose weight.
Right. Yeah. If he decided that he's going to be 100% committed and he decides that he's going to follow a certain diet, that's not going to stop me from going and getting a Blizzard at Dairy Queen.
Right.
Right. So his eating does not mean that I have to eat a certain way, because obviously me trying to eat and follow my diet didn't mean that he had to eat a certain way.
Right. And does that, here's the kicker, here's the big one. Does it mean that he loves you any less or you love him any less? Because that's what I always hear.
Oh yeah.
Would stop doing this. If they loved me, they would not eat pizza in front of me.
As if he's doing it to sabotage me or to hurt me or to punish me or to disrespect me in any way whatsoever. It's like, no, he's eating it because he has urges to eat it, and he's not managing his own mind and his own emotions and his own urges. Whether he wants to or has to or not, that's completely up to him.
Right.
Yeah. So recently, and this came super clear for me. My husband went for a week-long business trip about 3 weeks ago, and I kept thinking, oh, good, that'll be great. I can do some fasting, I can get some things or some projects done, all that stuff. And then he started telling me, I'm thinking maybe I'm not going to go. I'm like, yeah, you totally need to go on.
You're gone.
Trip. It's so important for you to go on this trip. And he ended up going, and I did okay with my food, but the only reason I ate as well as I did is because I ate the pre-made salads that he made before I left. Right. But I also ate like chips and salsa and things that weren't on my diet, things he doesn't really care about.
Right.
He doesn't even enjoy those things. So it was like my brain was shifted into, oh, good, now I can eat the stuff I really like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because although when popcorn's around and it smells good, I'll eat it. It's not my favorite thing. So I'm not going to go buy it and make it.
Right. Right.
So I still ate okay, but it was like my brain shifted into that other gear of allowing me to eat the wrong thing because now I can eat it and he won't see me.
Right. So whether or not he was there or not, it didn't really matter. It's because it's really all about you.
It didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he hadn't have made those salads, I probably wouldn't have even eaten salads. Right. So that actually helped me.
Right.
Him being gone didn't make it easier for me to eat on track.
And would you please share with everyone your journey that you have been on? Where have you gone from? Where have you gotten to?
Yeah. So I know, right? Like, and you have helped me so much with that. So yeah, April 6th, was when I started
Right
tracking.
in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, right in the middle of COVID. Yeah, I have lost 30 pounds. And so right now I'm like in this, like, I'm calling it a plateau, but you know what it really is? I've stopped writing down and planning my food and tracking my food. And that's
Oh,
been the last couple weeks.
oh,
Yeah.
listen up, any of my
Yeah.
clients out there. You
You
know,
know.
that's when the wheels are starting to come off, is when you
The
stop
wheels
doing
are, yeah. So like I've decided Thursday night is date night.
it.
And that is the night I'll have my exception food. Because I wasn't allowing myself exception food. And then I kind of went like, I gotta eat some exception food.
Yeah.
And so that's when everything kind of went crazy and I stopped writing down my food. I stopped planning it and writing it down. And so last night we actually went out to date night and I tried out my date night thing, but I didn't plan.
Mm.
And I ate so many tater tots, I didn't even have enough room for the chili that I ordered. And I ended up having 2 glasses of wine when I was like, my exception is typically 1 drink.
Right.
And so I got home and I was like, I was miserable. And
Right.
I didn't stop myself when I got full. All of the things, right? And it's like, why did I not plan? Because I've gone to the same restaurant with the same man and ordered tater tots and told myself, before I ever got there, my plan was 25 tater tots dipped in ranch.
Mm-hmm.
That's my plan. It's like, how many diets allow that? Well, that was my exception night, right? So, and then I had my burger that was wrapped in lettuce, and I opted to have 2 drinks, and I followed that plan. And when I went home, I didn't feel stuffed.
Right.
I enjoyed my evening. I had a good time. It didn't make it any less fun. But last night I didn't plan and I went over. Right. I didn't manage my mind. I just kind of, whatever. Oh, the planning really makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. It makes a huge difference. So what would you say, what would you suggest, or how would you, if somebody came to you and said, I'm trying to lose weight and my partner is not supportive at all, how would you go about addressing that with somebody?
Well, the first thing I would do is ask them, what does that make it mean about you that he's not supportive? And what does not supportive mean? Mm-hmm. Does it mean he's not preparing pre-made salads for you? Or does it mean he's eating pizza in front of you?
Right.
Because that not supportive is something different for every person.
Right. Right.
And I think that it's not a problem for you that your husband's eating pizza unless you think it's a problem for you.
Right.
And somewhere in there is thinking that you can't trust yourself around bad food. Mm-hmm. Like, my husband has 2 little boys. They're my stepsons. They're adorable. They're 12 and 14. Them boys love themselves some ice cream. And that is one of my, like, foods. Like, there's ice cream. And there's always ice cream in our freezer.
Right.
Always. Mm-hmm. And like, am I going to say those young boys can't have ice cream?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I am not that kind of stepmom. I'm sorry.
Right. You're not that stepmom.
Not that kind of stepmom.
Well, no, but it really is about it really is. I mean, it's really simply about personal responsibility, and that no one else makes you feel anything. No one else makes you do anything. It's all it all originates in your thoughts and what you make it mean. And I think that first question of like, what are you making it mean that you don't think he's supporting you, and what does that mean? What are you making that mean about you? Because we all create it, and it's amazing how we can create thoughts that make someone else like the absolute demon. And it's like, that's so not like, it's so not where they're coming from, but we've created this story and we're going to ride that story out. So, and just make that person the enemy. And when we're in reality, it's all originating up in our thoughts.
Yeah. And you know what's really sneaky? This one for a while too was, well, I want him to eat healthier so that that he's healthy, so that he loses weight, he's healthy, he feels good, and that he lives a long time. That was still all about me. Mm-hmm. because I wanted him to be healthy. So he stuck around a long time with me.
Right.
So that I got to have him, and that we could enjoy things together and do things together. And then I'm not taking care of someone who's not healthy.
Right.
So still all about me.
Right.
And it always is all about you. It's always, we want other people to do other things, right? That's the manual. Other people to do other things so that we can feel better. And we can feel better regardless of what other people are doing.
Right. We don't even need to wait. We don't need to wait for them to do something. We can feel better automatically right here and now. Absolutely. What do you think is the most, when somebody is trying to reach any kind of goal, what do you think the most important thing is that they need to do in order to be successful? When trying to reach a goal, what would you say is the most important thing they need to do? Like the thing they need to do either first, or what you put at the top of the list when goal setting?
That's so funny. I coached somebody on this morning, and it was about, well, what's your why? Why is this goal so important? If you're not clear on that, like, don't even waste your time with the goal, because those moments when the bowl of popcorn is right there, if I don't think about, like, I literally have pictures of my kids up on a shelf right here, and we don't have a TV. So my husband and I sit here and look at the big computer screen and watch Netflix or whatever. And he'll sit here next to me with the popcorn, and I see my kids, and like, I want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to show my daughters that they too can be healthy and live a long time and take care of themselves. And they're not at the mercy of what other people are doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my big one.
And that's actually what we talked about in last week's episode, was about the motivation and having a hard why. And really that is, you absolutely have to know without a doubt, because it's in those moments where you feel like, oh, it really doesn't matter. You have to remember, one, that you matter, but you also have to remember why it is that you're doing that. And you have to have that constantly at your forefront. And so when it comes to that whole idea of working towards something, and regardless of what's kind of, give me your viewpoint on just for you personally, with your diet, what has been the thing that has moved the scale needle that has moved the needle for you the most? What's been the thing that has been the most pivotal for you when it comes to your weight loss?
That's a great question. Because immediately several things come to mind. The why, definitely the why. Looking at urges are so big. You know, I have my little urge jar that I move my pebbles in it when I'm with an urge for 10 minutes. And that was huge, because I think that mental habit, that mental skill of being with that emotion, that desire.
Would you mind explaining what that is? Because I haven't really gone into that, so I would love to have you explain.
Yeah. So you notice that you have a craving for something, and like, oh, I can smell the popcorn, and sitting here and like, okay, I can smell it, and just allowing yourself to really notice, like, physically in your body where you're craving it. Like, maybe my stomach will growl, and feeling that urge and that craving and just wanting it. And so often we don't even realize we have that urge. We act on it so quickly. It's just like a habitual, oh, popcorn, and then you just start eating it, and then you just can't stop because it's just constantly there. When you notice that, even if you're like mid handful, you can interrupt it and notice you're having the craving. And then if you can set a timer for 10 minutes and just allow yourself to want it and to smell it and to just be with, I like air quotes, be with the feeling for 10 minutes. And then even if I eat it after 10 minutes, I've been with it and allowed it to settle. And often, even before the 10 minutes is up, the craving just goes away.
Right.
And but you still have to kind of give your brain a little reward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the pebble is for. You put it in the jar, and that gives you that little dopamine, like, I did something.
Right.
And your brain likes to collect things and make things orderly. And so as the jar fills up, it's like, oh, it's kind of a little tingle, a little excitement, and it doesn't put any pounds on my body.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. You explained that so well. And we've talked about in the group, we've talked about like feeling emotions and kind of sitting with, and, you know, putting the timer on and just sitting with an emotion as opposed to reacting, and how you know, none of us have been taught how to feel an emotion. We're always taught how to react to emotions and not necessarily how to feel them. And it's that sitting and, just as you said, just smelling it and feeling your stomach growl and feeling the desire, but just letting it move through you and letting.
You got to plan this, right? Like, I know my husband's going to have popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what's going to be my game plan when he has popcorn? Well, I'm going to have my glass of fizzy water. I smell the popcorn. I'll take a drink. That will kind of help interrupt my primitive brain that's going to just like want to chomp the popcorn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to have a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Miss Sheila, you've been so helpful. This is so wonderful. Y'all, I promised you that she was gonna bring it, and she did, as always. So again, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story too. And I really appreciate you sharing your story because it's always really relevant. I think it makes it much more relatable for people when it can be, you know, like another couple, and you can kind of see how somebody else is managing and managing those interactions. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. If you are not a member, remember, if you're not a member of the Breakthrough Emotional Eating community, please jump onto Facebook and join the group. Remember, always, the idea is always to make sure that we are taking responsibility for ourselves, for our own actions, for what we're choosing to do. And we do that by learning to manage our minds. And we talk about that a lot in the Breakthrough community. And so really, if this is something that you're kind of like, it's really interesting, that urge jar thing, really interesting. If you want to learn more about that, please come join us in the group. Sheila, how can any of my listeners on the podcast, and how can any of my members get in touch with you if they are just fascinated with what you've been talking about? And I know that you see clients. Sheila has a bustling, very, very successful life coaching business. So would you let people know how can I can also put it in the show notes, but can you tell them how they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. The best place to find me is on Facebook. I'm usually there. My business page is Sheila Morgan Coaching. And then I have a fabulous group called Make Love, Not Drama.
Ooh, that's a
lot of fun. Yeah. And you can find me on Instagram, but I don't do much on there. Mm-hmm. Really Facebook. And then my website is SheilaMorganCoaching.com, and it's SHEILA.
Okay. And you also, when are you going to be releasing your video that you shot? Because I know that is going to be so worth it.
Yeah, that's going to go out to my email list on Monday, and then I'm going to put that on my website and put it in the Facebook group and on my Facebook page. It'll be next week. It'll be coming out and going live for folks to download that, and then you'll be on my email list and get those fun emails.
Absolutely. Y'all want to get in on this, because she does some amazing coaching on this little freebie that she gives away. And it is, it's life-changing. So I would strongly recommend that you connect with her and, get on her email list and get a hold of that video, because I think it seriously could change your lives. So, and she could change your life too. So she has changed mine in more ways than I care to admit.
It's so helpful for me. Your coaching on my weight loss journey, super helpful. I really appreciate it.
You're so sweet. Thank you. But thank you all for joining us. It's just a love fest here on the Breakthrough podcast. So everybody have a great rest of your Friday. This is Friday for me, but great rest of your week. And we'll see you next week, and take care. And again, jump into the Facebook group if you're not already there. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.